on the equator, as you see in this picture. Yeah, at 7 a.m. the shadow is on between of the stones over there, and then it's getting shorter to see different hours by different lines of the stones. 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, 12. But at noon 12, no shadows because the sun is going to be directly on top. That's why sun is shining inside of this tower, as you can see in these pictures. 9, 10, 11, 12. And only just for a few seconds, don't forget, we don't have any shadows. But in the afternoon, the sun is continues down to the west, and we have the shadow in the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 p.m. But after March, we have the sunrise and sets to the north. This is the line for April, May, and June. But on June 21st, the sun is over the Tropic of Cancer, which is located over Bahamas, Cuba, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, and India. That's why it's summer for the north, the longest days, but winter for the south, the short days. And then goes back July, August, September. Here we have the second equinox, and after September we have the sun to the south. October, November, December, when the sun is over the Tropic of Capricorn, over Australia, South Africa, and South America. That's why it's summer for the south, the longest days, but winter for the north, the short days. And then goes back January, February, and March. It means if you are in Ecuador, for 6 months you are going to have the sun to the north and 6 months later to the south. So this is the way how the seasons work. Summer, winter over the solstice, autumn and spring over the equinoxes. But in Ecuador, we don't have summer, winter. Here we have only dry and wet season, okay? And also the time is always the same. 12 hours for the day, 12 hours for the night, okay? But the most common question when the people come is, why this region is called the name Ecuador, or the middle of the world, if the equator crosses over different countries around the world? The reason are the mountains, because in Ecuador is the only place in the world where you are going to have reference points are about the Andes. It means the mountains, as you can see surrounding, provide us with this fixed point over the horizon. It means using the landscapes we can see where the sunrise and where the sun sets. It is very easier because the mountains, it doesn't move, it doesn't change, never. But it is not possible if we are in Brazil or Colombia, because the equator is in the Amazon jungle where everything is flat, no reference points. Also in Africa, over Indonesia, cloud and rainforest. But in Ecuador, it's more easier by the elevations. So the Andes makes of this region the best place for the astronomical observations. That's why came here the French geodesic mission 280 years ago to measure the shape of the Earth, where they say the Earth is flat on the poles and involved in the equator. And also when they came, they give us the name Ecuador. And we adopted this name in the first constitution by Simón Bolívar on 1830. That's why we decided to do this big sundial in commemoration of the real equator monument, because we have another one, as you see in this picture, but this monument is not exactly on the line. It's 250 meters up to the south. This was made in commemoration of the French geodesic mission when they came, okay? But the hill, as you see in the same picture in front of this monument, it's more interesting because the local people in Ecuador, 5 centuries before the Incas came from Peru, they were used the hill to measure the apparent movements of the stars on top of the horizons, because this was a need for them to establish the agricultural calendars, to recognize the time for when to plant, when to harvest, also to have a social organization, religions, everything. That's why if you go up to the hill, you will find an archaeological site. The semicircle of the stones of 17 meters up, you see, is exactly where the equator is running. So this was made more than 1,000 years ago from now, or 5 centuries before the Incas came, don't forget, by the local people called Quitos. So without instruments, technology, or GPSs, they found the real equator monument on top of this mountain, okay? But actually, this is the first scientific research organization in Ecuador that is in charge on this research to understand about the ancient knowledge and ancient astronomy, because this is part of the hour identified as well. Okay. Well, another information is about the stars, about constellations. For example, in the North countries, in Switzerland, United States, or in Turkey, the famous one in the north is the Big Dipper, the Big Bear constellations. Yeah, the Small Bear, Cassiopeia, Andromeda, Pegasus. But from the north, you are not able to see some stars in the south, as the Southern Cross, and this is the famous one in Australia, New Zealand, Argentina. But from the south, you are not able, for example, to see some stars from the north. And this is for the shape of the Earth for this curve. But only if you are on the line, you will observe both sides. Everything is clear. If it's not cloudy, you can see both stars at the same time. Okay? And also the Milky Way, our galaxy. Okay? Well, so now here we have a question for you. It's a little test. Yeah? So, you know, that's how it works. It's a vertical motion from east to west. If that's how it works, show me with your fingers in which way the Earth is moving. Yeah, this is a question for you. Show me with your fingers how do we move in to see the sunrise in the morning at the east and sets in the west. This? Now? Yes, correct. It's because the Earth is moving like this, from west to east. That's why we have the sunrise in the morning at the east and sets in the west. Yeah, but maybe you never seen the globes as we hold them, sideways, as you can see right now, because this is new. The problem is because we usually use the maps on this way, where we learn in the north is up and south is down. But this is just an historical custom, also just a political view without sense, because we don't have a scientific explanation to use the maps with upside down. Because on the nature perspective, the north is not up. The north is in that way, south is on that way. That's why this organization is developing another idea in the last seasons to use the maps on this way, where the north should be to the north, south should be to the south, even no matter where you are. Suppose if I ask in your homes where is the north-south, you are going to point at the same as here. North-south of Turkey, Australia, United States, or Switzerland is the same, north-south. That's why this organization is printing the maps on the way how the nature works. So that's how the map should be. Yeah, that's how we should make the maps. So when you are looking at, it's the first geographical perspective on the human history that have another point of view by the traditional one. Yeah, maybe do you know what is the meaning of the word north? Excuse me. Do you know? North came from an Indian, from ner, N-E-R. In the early English means left side. Yeah, don't forget, north means left. That's why Norway in Europe means the countries of the left. And also the name of this country is explained as the north side is to the left of the equator, but not up there, because that point is called zenith, and this is the atmosphere. South means right, and we would like to orient no matter where we are, we should follow the east as the reference where the sun is born, because the sun is the only fixed star for our east no matter where we are. Only if you are facing to the sun, you are going to have this perspective of the world. There's not countries upper or lower countries or even down under, because nobody is over anybody in the nation. All the nations have only in a specific position. So that's how we should learn, that's how we should teach to the new generations. And that's the new idea that the organization is developing during the last 3 years ago, okay? To see the maps like this, okay?